Hey everybody, welcome back to my coverage of the PogChamps 3 tournament. This is the Pokimane versus Rubius Group B match, the second game. If you missed game 1, you can check it up there in the little info box. Come back and watch this video after you've seen that one. Rubius does have the white pieces, but he does need to win this game to take it to an Armageddon. Pokimane, the underdog of this match, is leading 1-0. So will we go to an Armageddon, or will Pokimane get the upset shutout? Without further ado, let's take a look at what happened. Rubius has the white pieces. He starts with e4, and we see e6 from Pokimane, the French defense. We have d4 and now d5 from Pokimane, just following the main line, and now knight c3 from Rubius. More common, especially at beginner levels, are e takes d5, the exchange variation, or e5, the advanced variation. But we have knight c3, which is called the Marshall variation, and now c5 from Pokimane. This c5 move here after knight c3 is not very commonly played. You usually see c5 in the advanced variation after e5, but it is playable here as well. We have knight f3 and knight f6, bishop g5, and now bishop e7, both players completing development, so very good from the opening so far. We have bishop b5 check from Rubius, and now bishop d7. And here Rubius should definitely trade off this bishop, because you don't want to move it back along this diagonal, because then you're just helping black develop, and you can't move it back to bishop a4 because you leave yourself open to tactics, which is what happened in the game. After bishop a4, this actually gives Pokimane the opportunity to take this bishop, and after knight takes a4, now Pokimane has the option to play d takes e4, gaining a tempo on this knight. And after the knight moves, say, to e5, now Pokimane can gain a second pawn with c takes d4. And black is actually going to lose, or sorry, white is actually going to lose even more material here, because black is threatening this fork on these two knights here, and it will also be a skewer on the bishop. So white can try to defend with something like c3, but now you just play b5 here as black, and this traps the knight. So we could have something like c takes d4, b takes a4, queen takes a4 check, and knight b to d7. And black here will be up a piece and be totally winning and be doing totally fine. So will that happen after bishop a4? Well, Pokimane does start with bishop takes a4, and we have knight takes a4 from Rubius, so maybe we'll get this tactical sequence on the board. We have d takes e4 from Pokimane, now continuing that sequence. Very good from her, and knight e5 from Rubius. Not much here you can do as Rubius, since after this bishop a4 move, he's still playing all really the best, most reasonable moves. So it's really just up to whether Pokimane finds the right moves here. However, here Pokimane does not go for this c takes d4. Instead, she just plays knight c6, and this totally lets white get back into the game. So yeah, she's just continuing development here, which normally would be totally fine, but here when you have a tactic, obviously it would be better to go for the tactic, but you know, it's okay. We have bishop f4 from Rubius, and this is once again a blunder, so not exactly sure what Rubius was thinking with this move. Maybe just defending this knight, seeing that this pawn, the defender of the knight, could be removed, so he wanted to over-defend it for some reason. But black can simply take this pawn again, which Pokimane does. She takes with the knight, which is totally fine. You can take with the knight or the pawn, and be totally fine. We have castles from Rubius and castles from Pokimane, and now c3 from Rubius, just kicking that knight away, and the knight goes back to c3. Knight to f5 would have been better, because when you move the knight to c3 like this, you're actually giving white the option to take this knight, and even though white is down in the material, this is a good trade for white, because you double and isolate black's pawns, so both of these pawns will be very weak for the rest of the game, and white can potentially pick either or both of them up later in the game. So knight f5 definitely would have been better, but we have knight c6 from Pokimane, and now b4 from Rubius, and this is definitely not a good move. Like I said, Rubius should have gone for this knight takes c6 trade. b4 is even worse than just some ordinary move like rook e1, though, because b4 simply loses a pawn. After c cross b4 and c cross b4, we have bishop cross b4, and this does happen in the game, and now Pokimane is up 3 pawns, so this is more than enough of a material advantage. Let's see if Pokimane can now convert this position. We have queen b3 and now a6 from Pokimane. And this is a huge blunder because with this last queen b3 move from Rubius, Rubius is now attacking this bishop. The only defender of the bishop is the knight, which can be removed by trading the knight on c6. So will Rubius see this tactic of knight takes c3, b takes c3, and then picking up the bishop on b4? Will he see it? No, he does not. He instead quickly plays rook f to d1, so just gaining a tempo on this queen. However, after queen e7, which Pokimane plays, now the bishop is defended, and this remove the defender tactic no longer works. So Rubius, a little bit of a missed chance there, but you know, maybe Pokimane will blunder again and Rubius can get back in this. We now have knight b6 from Rubius, just putting this knight on this outpost, gaining a tempo on the rook, and Pokimane saves it with rook a to d8, contesting this open d file and looking to go for some more trades. We have rook a to c1 from Rubius, rook takes d1, and now rook takes d1. Rook d8 from Pokimane, looking for even more trades, and now f3 from Rubius. Here, I mean, it's really hard to find a good move to play as Rubius. This knight takes c3 trade, just isolating black's pawns, has still been available for a while now, so you could still go for that, but yeah, it's just really hard to find an actual good move here for Rubius. So we have f3 and rook takes d1. Once again, Pokimane totally okay with going for those trades, and queen takes d1. And also here as white, you've kind of positioned your pieces in a way that, you know, everything is hanging. This knight is hanging because there's an equal number of attackers and defenders. This knight is hanging because there's an equal number of attackers and defenders. That is the definition of a hanging piece, by the way. Some people think a hanging piece is just a piece that has no attackers, or at least the definition of a hanging piece, it's a little more complicated than that. But, you know, this knight is attacked by a knight and defended by a bishop, so it is considered hanging because it's susceptible to tactics like forks and, you know, just being attacked. So anyway, that I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but yeah, don't leave hanging pieces. I think this is the point I was trying to make. Just don't leave your pieces hanging, and you will be less susceptible to tactics. If you try to keep everything defended, you will not find yourselves in these situations where there are tactics available. Like here in this position, Pokimane can play bishop c5. This is a fork on the king and the knight, or even queen c5, fork on the king and the knight, and also the other knight actually. So yeah, we have e takes f3 from Pokimane, which is still totally fine. This is totally winning from Pokimane. Queen takes f3, and now will Pokimane go for this queen c5 or bishop c5? No, she doesn't. She simply plays knight takes e5, just continuing trades, and this is totally fine as well because you'll still have this c5 check on the next move. We have bishop takes e5, and now queen c5 check from Pokimane, looking to pick up another piece. We have queen f2 from Rubius, and here Pokimane actually had a mate in 4 he could have played after queen c1 check and queen f1 and bishop c5 check, checking the king, and after the king moves we can play queen takes f1, which will be checkmate. So Pokimane did have this checkmate, but instead she just picks up the bishop, which is totally fine too. We have knight d7 now, which simply hangs the knight, but here's Rubius. I mean, bishop c5 was coming, pinning the queen to the king, so this position is already very lost for Rubius. Pokimane, however, does pick up this hanging knight with knight takes d7. We have queen a7 from Rubius, maybe hoping for some, you know, back rank tricks in some parallel universe or something. Pokimane here does have a checkmate in 1 with queen e1 checkmate, but she decides to stop any of those back rank tricks with h6, which is totally fine. You know, just being safe from Pokimane, that's fine as well. We have queen takes b7 now and queen f4, so Pokimane is looking to cut off the king and play bishop c5 check, which will force the king to h1, and then she can come to this f1 square with checkmate. Rubius, not a lot he can do here. He does go for this hanging knight, and Pokimane continued with her plan, bishop c5 check and king h1, and now we have queen f1 checkmate from Pokimane. So Pokimane, very clean game by Pokimane here. Not really a lot of blunders from Pokimane. Really just getting up material early in the game and converting this position. So Pokimane could be a sort of sneaky contender, you know, an underdog contender she could actually be a lot stronger than a lot of people think. So, yes, she did win this match. She has a match against XQC later today. And, yeah, Pokimane wins the upset. I don't think I have much else to say about this game, but congrats to both competitors. And check out my PogChamps 3 playlist. It's up there. And check out another video on that side of the screen. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on more chess stuff. And thank you for watching. I love you guys, and stay awesome. I'll see you next time.